So, gang, there is wine, beer, iced tea, cheese and crackers, and fruit. Because, we're in the room together. There's got to be food, there's got to be beverages. That's how it works. Okay. So, help yourselves. We got about 1 minute. And if you're looking behind me, this is the new ads and campaign we've worked on for hiring using our own employees and really talking about what we're looking forward to and taking out in the field and say, these are our people, don't you want to join? And so we think that it's lively and it's vibrant and it's not, it's big and it's loud. Imagine that, me supporting something that's big and loud. So, yeah, and here we are, yes. All right, yep, there's still some few coming. You know Ray? You know Kenny, the pizza guy. That, that's Ray. Yep. Well, many people know Ray. Half of Durham knows Ray. That's why we're using him. Ray's been here a long time. Good-looking guy. Kind of impressive, He looks like he's happy to be there. Imagine. That's all right, Jeffrey. Your day's coming. It's coming. So. Okay. Well, good evening. How is everybody doing today? Good? Well, it occurs to me that we haven't done one of these since September, and I was curious because the other day I realized that there were two people that I mixed up because on the day that I looked them up in the picture book, I must have switched it, and I have not called them by the right name since they've been here, and they've never corrected me. So, but I am curious, who's moved in since September? Come on. Are you happy to be here? Yes. Well, we welcome you and are glad that you are here. Twice a year, we do an executive staff update, and I'll tell you a little bit about that, but I do want to follow through just with kind of the agenda for tonight. We are going to talk a little bit about the state of the forest in terms of operations. We're going to talk a little bit about governance in terms of where the governing board is, and construction milestones, opportunities, and plans. So that ought to fill up an hour pretty good. We want to make sure that we've left time for questions and answers. So, executive staff update, you might wonder why it's called that and why am I the only one talking. Yeah, nice trick, guys. I am the only one talking because these guys have been working like crazy, so I am giving them a break, and I took all of their information and said, you guys don't have to do this tonight, but be here because I don't know all of your business. And so if there's a question I can't answer, they're here. But I would like to introduce the leadership team for those of you who may not know who's here. So Sarah Haney is Director of Community Life. Sharon Pitt is our Chief Operating Officer. Karen Henry is our CFO. And she celebrates a milestone this month of 20 years in the same job at the forest. April Ravelli, Director of Sales and Marketing. Nathan Summers, Director of Community Services. Oh, pobrecito. And Larry Williams, Director of Human Resources. So, Oh, I'm sorry. I was wondering where everybody else was. Not to be diminished in any way, Rashad Wilson, Director of Information Technology. And that's all right. That's okay. We like to mix and mingle. And Leanne Bailey Clayton, Director of Health Services. So, and the good news is, I think there is, except for Larry, who's the newest person, so not yet, but soon, everybody that's sitting here has been through either the state Leadership Academy or the National Leadership Academy, which is a special staff development academy run by Leading Age. And so we are one of the few communities where our leadership team has all attended one or the other of those trainings. So I'm proud of you, because you don't just get to go because I say go. You have to apply, and you have to be accepted, and our team members have been accepted. So that's a good thing. The executive staff update happens twice a year, and it's part of the compliance mandate for the Department of Insurance that twice a year you have that meeting. It must be announced 7 days beforehand. You must include your executive staff. It is held open. Jim Friedman is here as a representative of our resident board and a resident association, but he is one of the governing board members, so you have to have at least one person here from that venue. And we did and always do invite any members of our board who are available to attend. That's just standard practice. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but we always have resident representation. At the Forest, we do 2 meetings. In the spring, we do a community update. That's what we're doing right now. And in the fall, we do annual budget and an operations update, kind of looking forward for the year and what's ahead of us. And right now, it's kind of, we're mid-year, just past March, and gearing up for the rest of this year, if you will. So when we talk about the state of the forest operations, I kind of broke it down by our tiers of service. And in independent living, we are doing well. April, thank you. We are at 97% occupied and 100% occupied and reserved. That's wonderful. That means that we have a good pipeline. People are coming in. Move-ins usually occur within 70 to 90 days. We prefer 70, but we work with folks to make sure that that happens. Operating at full occupancy is a good thing, particularly while we're in a state of construction, as we have been for, it seems like, forever. And but it tells you something about the forest. The state of construction does not preclude people from coming to live here. Our census continues to be vibrant and full, and people are engaged. Our group tours are always full. And so, again, we are a commodity that people are still thrilled to, and a community, rather, that people are still thrilled to be a part of. Most recently, in independent living and CCRCs overall, the rating for the Forested Duke changed in an annual survey that ranks us. We went from 24th to 18th in the country as best CCRC, and from 4th to 2nd in the state as best CCRCs. And this is a process that we didn't know very much about. The first time it happened, Larry told me, and I thought, oh, who's pranking us? Not because I didn't have belief, but I had not heard of the survey, and I thought, no, that, you know, there's 2,000, how could that be? But actually, they do resident interviews, so some of you have had something to say about that, and we didn't know about it. They talk about local agencies, surveyors. They look at our history of reports and compliance. They look at our financial standing and picture, and also the impacts we've made on the communities we serve. And so nobody was playing a joke, and we're really quite proud that for the 2nd year in a row we've made the list, but we've also moved up in the past year. Our health center continues to operate. We suffer the same kinds of ins and outs and census, et cetera, that other communities are experiencing right now. One of the things we're experiencing in the market and in health centers in general is that census tends to be down because people are getting treatments that used to put them in the health center that don't. You get a hip replacement now, you get to go home. They barely want to give you home health. You get other treatments, you're in for less time, people do respite, and quite frankly, advances in medicine have meant that people take a longer time before they go to the health center. What it does mean, though, is we have a lot more short-term stays. 2 or 3 days, a respite stay, short rehab. And, you know, we are not running up and down the hall, so you don't need to be afraid of Leanne, looking for people to move to the health center. You'll get there when you get there if you need to be there. And we can live with and work with our census as it is. But one of the things we did reactivate to assist us with operating is we have always been allowed to take admissions from the outside into assisted living. And we had not done that for quite some time. And then COVID hit, and our census certainly, we kept our census low for a reason. However, post that, we have opened up outside admissions at the assisted living level, and it takes a while to get established in the marketplace and to let people know that you are doing that again. But we have been successful. We have a pipeline. People are touring and making decisions. And as we cannot direct admit into skilled nursing, but we can do assisted living, and we will continue to do that. That has never not caused a problem for us, nor diminished our ability or capacity to serve the residents who are on our campus. And we're very careful of looking at those numbers so that we don't overwhelm the system. The terraces, I know you want me to talk about that, just ad infinitum, and I'm not going to do that tonight, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it. But the thing that you need to know about that is we have 4 open units. The rest are committed, and we have 31 people who have not been offered an opportunity to select. So I'm not worried about whether or not we will fill the terraces. In fact, we're quite pleased. And when we tell our competitors and our peers, yeah, we got almost all of them done and committed, and we still have 31 people to go, it gives us bragging rights. It makes us feel really good. April, your team has been amazing at that. And we have been doing a lot of planning in almost every department in every area, and I'll talk a little bit about that later and begin to share some of that information. Excuse me, we are looking at some milestones there, and I'll talk about that one specifically. Early acceptance program, it continues to be a viable program, and we experience it the same way many communities do. About 50% of the people who are early acceptance will move in to the forest, and that's their expectation. But about 50% actually have no intention of coming here. If they need us, they'll call us, I think is kind of the routine and impact there. We're seeing that weigh itself out a few years into operation. We have been marketing and will continue to market to various demographics to attract people and look at ways in which we can engage people and educate them about the program. I think Carroll Woods, Carolina Meadows, they all have an early acceptance program, but each program is a little bit different. And so we are taking that show on the road. And then the Forest at Home, our home care agency, continues to grow in its scope of services, and people are understanding that it might be a one and done. You need some help. It might be short term. It may be long term. It could be companionship care. It could be some clinical care and support. So there's some ways in which we are able to help. In some ways, it has nothing to do with, quote, the health part of it, but a lot to do with adaptive lifestyle enhancement or assistance. So again, Takitha has done a wonderful job of reaching out, getting to know people, creating an environment where people can ask for services and use them, and it's really tailored to what a person needs at that time and is flexible enough to be changed and moved as necessary. When I look at our various programs, we've looked in the past 10 years at a growth from independent living health center and apartments and cottages to include several different kinds of living options, and we'll include more. That we've looked at keeping and investing in our property. We will continue to do so. You don't build a new road or repair the road when the trucks are still tearing it up, but that is one of our major things to address. And in terms of capital, once this is all done, we've got a list. The good news is, before we ever started construction, we took care of virtually all of our deferred maintenance and really got our capital asset repair and replacement list on a schedule that allows us to routinely look and on a quarterly basis not only address issues about systems and equipment, et cetera, that we need to either repair, replace, upgrade, et cetera, but we've also been able to do some things that we hadn't planned but have done earlier, such as the fiber. Is everything okay? Okay. No, I'm good. Okay. But thank you. That we've been able to put in fiber optic, expand our bandwidth. I know it's slow, but Nathan is doing it because we parse the dollars, we parse the time, and we get the right people to automate those doors. He's working his way around campus. And, no good deed goes unpunished. I know you're working on it, and we continue to have good success. It may not be as quick as you want, but it is consistent, and it's in front of us. And I know that we've done some upgrades of our call systems, emergency call, and we continue to look at what are the things in our technology bandwidth that make life easier, and is it the right thing for our residents? How do we put that in place? Um, Programmatically, we've seen an expansion of programs and services, particularly things done not only on campus but off campus, as well as one-offs, otherwise known as pop-ups and surprises. Again, trying to make the atmosphere in the community and keep it fresh and a little bit different and surprise you every once in a while. But the good news is the Community Life Department has also seen a great deal, you're looking for where that's written, aren't you? It's not. Um, they're flipping the pages, and they're going so fast they're making a breeze. But the community life has been really busy and creating a lot of differences in terms of programs. So we're doing some parallel programming that repeats, so that if you can't get to it on Monday, it might show up again on Thursday. And again, thinking of how do you expand what you do so that people get to have more choice. The days of everybody shows up for the Saturday night movie or they miss it, that's gone. That's old hat. And it's like, how do you create things and repeat them and give people small groups, large groups, a time that works, and choice. That does mean that the one thing that changes in our culture, there used to be a thing is, you can't do that because I can't go to that because I want to go to that. And what we're saying is, in a vibrant community, you will have multi-layered things going on. You get to pick and choose. You may not get to do everything, but that's okay to want something because it gives us a chance to create other opportunities. So, and so I do applaud community services for that expansion and what we have done. You may have noticed a lot of staff, if you've seen them walking around with some interesting little bags that look like thermal bags. That's kind of the new employee hire swag. We have changed a lot of things about what we've done about orienting people and bringing them in. And one of the things we found is because we changed our system, we see an expanded and higher rate of retention. And I may talk a little bit about that. So Hot Topics will have 3 things on here that aren't up there, okay? Well, I had a moment. So the South Road opening, I heard that was a hot topic, and my understanding is that road will open after Memorial Day. So it's coming. It is going to happen. I'm not going to say a date because as sure shooting as I do, it'll be wrong. But it's going to happen after Memorial Day, and that means in June, okay? Early. Staffing, retention, pipeline, agency. Those are issues that many of you have asked about at various times. One, our retention is really improving, particularly in all areas. And in some departments, we've actually seen 100% retention in housekeeping, in maintenance, in security and transportation. We have seen improvement from less than 60% to up to 80% now in health center staffing and 88% in dining. So we have seen an ongoing trajectory of retention. So that one's, can you get people in the door? And we are. And once you get them, can you keep them? And we are. And now that doesn't mean we just keep them for a warm body. If you are not here to do the job the way we need it done, or it's just not working out, it's not a good fit, we're happy to release you to the wild, but we will do that kindly. And we want to make sure that you not only come to work for us, but that you're part of our community and understand that it is a job. It's a job that we, the Forest at Duke, have, not one that you get to invent. So a little training, a little nurturing, this is the way we do it, but we're getting there. Direct admits to the health center, I've already spoken, but the question was raised that they were concerned. Would we have enough room and beds for everybody that needs the health center when they do? And we have, and we do. Our admissions folks and our social workers, we work pretty carefully. If we have to juggle something, we're able to do that because we have a vibrant and agile home care agency. So we can help people navigate the process, and we can do that with our own resources. Um, Good. If I could read my writing, this is a good one. Where's Ellen Barrett? Mrs. Barrett, I am so pleased to tell you that the resident handbook is going to the printer next week. When we get it back, I expect it to be distributed, and you will have that. What are you guys? So, this was, elephants are pregnant less time than it took us to do this book. Um, but it is done, and we're going to have to update it again right after we open. But we've got a good core. We reorganized it, put everything in it that we could. Didn't put some of the things that we know will be new, because when we do that, everybody's going to get it at the same time. I understand from Sarah that it'll be on Cubico, so people can access it that way. Yes, Rashad is very happy. And if you want a print copy, and that's what you would like, please let Sarah know, and we will make sure that that happens as well. Because we understand some people say, don't give me another piece of paper, and other people say, it's not real unless I can touch it, feel it, and hold it. So there we go. Okay, Ellen, please clap. Thank you. And then, the other hot topic in question was, when is this hallway going to be open so folks can get to the art studio? And make sure I didn't mix it up. We're thinking about mid-June. And the second question is, when will these bathrooms be done? And again, same time. So when we do that, bathrooms will be open, redone, refurbished. That's been on the refurb hit list for a gazillion years, so thank you, Nathan, for making sure that that happened. And as I said, the walkthrough to the art studio on this side will be open mid-June. That's the date that we have. If it changes, we'll let you know, but that's what we're working with. So, did you say? If you imagine, we must feel really comfortable with you as residents. There was a time when this was the stodgiest meeting of the year, but you guys look pretty relaxed, so thank you. And clearly my team is, so good. So governance, I did want to talk, we have 5 new board members, and have a really good multidisciplinary representation on our board. And of the 5 new members, let's see, we have Larry Mineta, who used to be at Duke. He's retired, and he has joined our board. And Robert Kanoy, another professor and a resident of the Hope Valley area. We have John Rasmussen, who is a CPA, and Sterling Wilder, who's a resource development person. And then we also have Tracy. Tracy with a long Italian name with lots of apostrophes, and it is just Delangela. And Tracy is a resource development person who works for the Center for Child and Family Health. And she's also a former journalist in Chicago. So those are the new board members. Kimberly Rayberg, the city attorney, is also a member of our board. Denise Barnes, who is leadership at La Chance Construction. La Chance Construction. And so we have men, women, a variety of ages, social services, education, clinical. Lynn Farber is a pediatric nurse practitioner, and Craig Lewis is a wealth planner from Chapel Hill. And then our 3 resident board members are Jim Friedman, Greg Daniels, and Ed Embry. Good. You know, I do remember that, but not right now. But they are there. So we have a good representative board. They are very active, and we want to make sure that we do a meet and greet. So we will create a social so you can meet all of our board members who are there. We're going to do that. The chance is, how many days are there in June, and can we make it happen? And if we can't, then we'll move it to cooler weather, which would be September. July and August here, unless it's under the air conditioning, is not a good time to get social. Resident team member event, all of the board, that's scheduled for June, mid-June, the 20th? Okay, so two events, and that's just because we're disconnected at this point for the resident team member event, but I want to let you know that the entire board has been invited to attend as well. They will come if and as they can. And then the primary work of the board this part of the year is working on an updated and renewed strategic plan to look at the next 5 years. Vision 2027, which was a 10-year plan, actually got completed, or probably 95% completed in 8 years, and so it was time to look forward. And the board has been doing that and working with the leadership team, and we will continue that work. And once we move a little bit farther, we'll be bringing that back. So construction, the terraces, plans and opportunities, okay? Because there's just a lot of stuff in there, a lot of mishigas in this particular slide. But the leadership team, residents and team member collaborations are all about getting ready for the fall move-in of the terraces. To say that that is not all consuming would be crazy. It's kind of like we do our day job and then we do the terraces job. And it just has kept us going. But we have some milestones in front of us that we're seeking to see completed, and we have some time, so I just wanted to share that with you. The next big milestone is getting the water turned on in the building. You would think that that's not such a big deal, but the deal is you don't just turn the water on. You've got to turn it on, you check it floor by floor, you don't turn it all on at the same time. When you turn the water on in the building, you check every toilet, every sink, everything that could possibly leak anywhere. And you go floor by floor by floor by floor. So when we get that, that is a major milestone. That's scheduled to start mid-June? Next week. Oh, goody. Okay, it's scheduled to start next week. In the city of Durham, you know, and they're here. They're coming and they're doing it. That's a good thing. Then the certificate of occupancy. And we don't expect, it's a funny thing. People say, well, then you must be ready. It must be open. We can just run through that building. No, what that means, COO means it's substantial completion. We are still punch listing the building. Oh, that's not right. That wallpaper was supposed to be here. Take it off, put it on. We'll go floor by floor, apartment by apartment, hallway by hallway, stairwell by stairwell, all the way down to the garage. We have done and started preliminary punch, 5th through 3rd, I believe we've completed. And then you go back and you punch again. That second punch, it should be done. If it is done, and you always cross your fingers, you then change the lockout so nobody can enter that apartment then at that point, until we then do the cleanings and things before folks move in. And then we won't even see furniture placement in the commons areas until the second week of August. And the good news is I believe all the freight is here. Some stuff will be in storage until that time. Once the furniture placement comes, then we really can start to look at a controlled opening of that building. So keep in mind, I said this word and it's important, a controlled opening of the building and use of space. And what that means is once the building is open, we are going to program things so that you, our residents, can have ways to use that building, get accustomed to that building. We will test what's in that building. Does it work the way we thought it worked? If it doesn't, do we fix it? Is it changed, or what do we adapt? So we're going to be reaching out to you and calling on you to come join us for things that we schedule or sponsor in the new building, things that we are testing. We're working with the resident association committees and will continue to do so. Um, and we'll do some soft openings and introductions of space so that by the time we're ready to do move-ins, everyone here should be fairly familiar with the building, spaces that they're more interested in knowing more about or using, and will have been able to use most of the space in there in the common areas. The one thing we won't do is show apartments if they're sold, but if we get to that point and there's an apartment that is not sold, we'll make sure that we make some tours available for that. But once it's been locked off and sold and all of the upgrades and things are put in, we will not open that. The reason we're waiting, when furniture comes, we have to start staffing the building, because I've lived through the early commissioning of a building, and you have lovely furniture, and it has wonderful feet. And so we don't want that to happen. And so once, in fact, we put furniture in, you have to have 24-hour security, people who are in the building. You have to have a means of opening and a means of locking down, just managing that. And no, I know you all aren't carrying furniture out the door. That's not what I'm really worried about. But it has happened in communities, and actually, I once passed in D.C. a young gentleman walking down the street with a coffee table. And I thought, wow, it seems like they should have given him a truck. And then I thought, boy, that looks familiar. I said, nah. And I go back into Thomas' house, and I'll be darned, that was our coffee table walking down 14th Street. So you can't make that stuff up. So, but we're going to work to make sure that you have familiarity with that building, and we want to make sure that you're going to be our testing people. We'll soft open restaurants, we'll soft open exercise space and all of that, and we see that as an opportunity for some fun and to enjoy that. And we also know, and I'll talk a little bit about that, that there are a lot of committees on the Resident Association and resident volunteers who will be highly involved in what we do in terms of getting ready for our residents. And I will also tell you that April and I had the luxury of doing focus groups with the residents coming in to the terraces. Okay, so they're not teenagers. They're not all younger than you. The age cohort stays about the same, with the same kinds of spread in age that we see in independent living. They all have said, yes, they're excited to join the community, and everybody wants to ease in, because just as you'll remember, moving into a community was a big choice and a change, and particularly if you've lived in your own house, in your own space, and what is it like to be in a community, and I hope it doesn't feel too much like a dorm. Oh, but then I hope it does. So all kinds of good stuff, but the conversations were about the excitement and how people were looking forward to living here. And it was very interesting that the focus, and this has changed over the years, when we used to do focus groups, we used to hear a lot about, well, it's going to be a change, and I'm really sad to be giving up this piece, or I'm giving up that. And what we heard on par from these residents mostly is, it's not about what I'm giving up. I am so looking forward to what I'm going to do. So it's very forward-facing. For the first time, and Jim, you're going to be happy. I heard people say that they were looking forward. They heard we had a resident association and being a part of that. So work your magic, make them work, okay? But also talking about how they want to continue to do the things they've always done, their engagement in the larger community, as well as taking a softer, slower, smaller, more intimate way to get to know our residents. They like the idea of meet and greet, but they also like the idea of small things. And I know with talking to April that the marketing committee has come up with a plethora of ways to engage new residents, both large and small, one-on-one, and really adjusting to people's preferences. Because it's, some people are absolute introverts and they jump in and they're just ready to go, and other folks are like, glad you're here, but you stay on that side, I'll talk to you later. So the marketing committee is really adept at thinking about how do we make this work for everybody. But I'm not really worried, because one of the things that people say about the Forest at Duke, first and foremost, of all the communities, we are one of the most welcoming communities out there, that people walk in, they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel respected and welcomed. And that's as much as a friendly hello or I haven't seen you before. Are you new here or are you visiting? And there's no shyness about that. It's genuine and authentic curiosity and concern. So you all should be very proud because that's not something anybody can mandate. That's just what you all bring to the table. So I'm real excited about how I don't see major problems blending our community. I see that I'm going to have a raucous bunch of people who actually might like each other, and that's a good thing. So when we talk about calendar of information and opportunities, there's no such thing as one and done when we talk about adding 125, 130 people to the community. So to talk specifically about the terraces, we're going to do that using everything that we have. We're going to start with a community-wide meeting that will be filmed. We just have to find the date that it works, and we want to do that in June. And that's to talk the 30,000 foot, this is what it looks like, this is what we're doing, these are the dates we know. It's the big circle. But then we're going to use our RA committees to talk about their areas of specific interest and what the areas they participate in as the first communication outside of the big meeting, followed very closely then by coffee and conversation. And coffee and conversation will be 3 presentations within 24 to 48 hours. Now, if we find that we need more, we may do that. We certainly will film at least one of them so that we have an opportunity, or record. I guess we don't film, that's old, isn't it? We will record one of them so that we can show it later. And that I see that schedule going on through July, August, and September. And keep in mind, we'll be doing that in addition to our day jobs. So we're really trying to get that schedule going and full and operating. And if we find that there's something that needs more time, then we'll add another coffee and conversation. And I don't see anybody shy in this room. So if there's something else, just send a note, send an email, and let us know. If it's raining, don't stop me in the parking lot. But other than that, let us know, and so that we can get as much information to you as we can. And sometimes we may not know. There will be times when we'll think it's going to be one way and it isn't. And so that's where you have agility, et cetera. The next slide is really about what would those topics be when you do coffee and conversation. When we talk about dining, we're going to be talking about Heartwood, Rosewood, Greenwoods, Taproot, and the Bistro. So you'll get the whole picture of all of the service, what it's going to look like, how it's going to operate, et cetera. And we will be soft opening, soft changing, announcing anything that changes in a way that you'll know about it, you'll be able to participate, we'll be able to test, we'll be able to get the feedback, and we're good with that. We will start with the dining committee when we start that, and then if it's the dining week at the Forest, we start with the dining committee, we go to the coffee and conversations to the whole house, we record it, and then we find out what else we need to do. New residents, we're going to have the marketing committee, who's been working for a long time, actually do about how do they plan to welcome new residents, partner with move-in, provide orientation, mentoring, and I think from Rose Mills, I'm given to understand we need more mentors, so anybody who wants to be a mentor or is considering that, please speak to her because she will be very glad to see you. Community space, I talked a little bit about that, but we've named some of the spaces, we've figured out use, et cetera. We know what all of the IT capability is. Thank you, Jim and the Resident Association for letting us know kind of the standing meetings and things that need to occur. So there's really a considered response to how we use that space and what is the free time. Parking, who, what, where, when, and how. So we've got to go through all of that, and I can guarantee you that somebody's not going to be happy because it's not going to be in the space that's right in front of their door, right when they want it, all the time. And so, but we will have assigned spaces, we will have staff spaces, we have built ancillary spaces on the campus, so we should be in very good shape, and we'll figure it out. We have always done so we'll be okay there. Ancillary service moves. The clinic, marketing, and HR will be moving over to the new building. We need to schedule that. That'll happen sometime probably in September, if not the very end of August. We'll see where we are there. And then There will be some changes in the office wings that are back there. So there's some moving around. Our goal is that nobody will be officed in a closet with a mirror in it to pretend like it's a window, okay? We're getting real space for real work and real people. Staffing, we're going to be doing a few job fairs. We're going to be doing some onboard and hiring, some days where we're going to take over the auditorium or some space. We expect to do some significant hiring. We need to know who we have in place before we open. We need time to train them. That's not going to hurt us. That's one of the costs that we expected to have and will continue to have in part of our operating, but we'll be bringing on people in a very focused way. And because we have now a three-day orientation get on board process that takes a month. Actually, it's a first day, second day, and then within 30 days, all new hires meet and have lunch with the leadership team, and so that we can get to know them as people and they get to know us without our name tags on, but just who we are. And we have found that because of that, we've had referrals. We've got some family workers here. We've got folks that are very happy to be here and are saying things like, I've never started a job where the entire leadership team showed up to ask about me, to know about my family, to know what brought me here, and to understand what would keep me here. So we're pretty excited about that. But we're going to be busy doing those things. We'll be doing some training on Saturdays. We may do some training on evenings, depending on where we are and what we're doing. And then there's some non-resident volunteers that we'll be bringing in. I know that Rashad's working on some tech assistance, and that we also will bring in some short-term staff, and that is because that's a lot of people, and we want to make sure that nothing slips on any part of the campus. And then some ancillary service providers. In other words, the one thing you're going to have is a tremendous amount of trash. Cardboard, broken, to break down, get rid of, to recycle, and all that good stuff. So we will be bringing on some temporary help, seasonal help, to manage that, because the regular maintenance in the building still has to be done, regular trash and all that other stuff has to happen. So augmenting so that we can really operate in accordance with standard. So as an executive staff update, if we're looking at current operations. The real thing that I want to share with you is we have a commitment to maintaining our programs and services as we currently do, to continue to make sure that you are not underserved or less served just because we're expanding, and recognizing the importance, because quite frankly, we wouldn't have the new people without the people who are here now. So it's really about new and old. It's about, this is our community, we're expanding. You create the culture, we're extending that, and it's an opportunity, but we don't want you to feel less than, left out, or not heard. So we're going to keep working at that, and if you have suggestions, I know, I don't even worry. I know you'll let us know, and that's a good thing. We'll have scheduled programs and things that happen, but we're also, it's summer, it's a great time to do some pop-ups, some refreshers, some things, some different ways to mix and mingle. And again, just to not lose sight of kind of why we're all here and what it means to us. And that's a collective. It's for residents and for team members as well. And then communication, communication, communication. They say the biggest mistake about communication is to assume that it has occurred, because people receive information differently. They are responsive to different methods, different kinds, different timing. And so we are going to continue to use these things. The Resident Association and its committees are one of the best ways we have to get information out, to use those committees, to test against the committees, to have that conversation. And I encourage you, when you have concerns, or not even concerns, suggestion or an opportunity to share what you're thinking, again, respond to your committees. The caucus structure, that's better than whisper down the lane, because they actually get the message right. So it's not that game of telephone, but it's actually conveying information in a consistent way throughout the community. So we will certainly look to caucus leaders as a way of moving information around. We'll use the traditional written information, the Forest Forward, and any other, anything else we need to put out. Cubigo, of course, will be the electronic version. Hot topics will always come to you on fluorescent paper. You know, if it's on an ugly, loud piece of paper, we really want you to read it, okay? So that's something that's there. And then subject matter focused meetings as determined by staff. You'll let us know, and if we're missing something, we'll get together and we'll focus on the topic and keep talking. The most important thing is to keep talking as we go through this process. And then there's a whole question of, I started out with what do we need from you, and I realized that if we're really going to be successful, the question is, what do we need from each other? We need to be able to collaborate when asked, but we shouldn't be throwing blocks in the road to get stuff done. We need to cooperate when that is needed. And sometimes cooperation may not be what you had in mind for that moment, but if we're asking, it's because we really have to, and we'd appreciate it. And then grace, because at the end of the day, we are only human, and something is not going to go right, and it's going to tick somebody off some way. And so I would ask that before you get upset, just give us a moment. Certainly let us know. Don't ignore it. But the idea is, I don't expect this to be perfect. I know we will make mistakes. I know we will have to pivot. I know at least once there will be a piece of information that was supposed to be out and we didn't do it. But it's not because we're intentionally trying to make anybody miserable. We're herding cats, people. We are gathering information, we're trying to get the job done, and we're trying to meet multiple constituencies. And we've tried to safeguard and plan for that, but I never expect perfection, I expect a best effort. And that's what we're trying to do. And I want to thank you for letting me talk for 45 minutes. I can shut up now. But the idea is I'm curious and open to questions, as is the team. So please, if there's anyone who has questions, we'll be glad to answer. And if we can't answer your question, we will find out and make sure that when this is posted in Connections or the library, those questions are also added.
My name, this is Sandra Stein, and hi, April. So I had a question. I met some people over the weekend who said, I guess it's part of the soft moving in, that they were going to be moving in early to kind of test things out. And I'd just like to get a sense of how many people are doing that, how it's happening, etc.
Yeah, great. So,
Want
and
to
also,
repeat the question?
oh yes. So Sandra's asking about folks that have told her that they are moving into the terrace apartments earlier than the large cohort because they're going to be, as was said in my coffee and conversations earlier today, guinea pigs. And if you are free at 2 o'clock tomorrow, I'm doing another coffee and conversation, so we'll talk about this again. But when we were researching and talking to other communities that did expansions of this size or larger, we got a lot of really good advice on what to do, what not to do, et cetera. And one of the things that we heard from Glen Eyre and Carrie that we loved is said, choose a couple of folks. So right now we have 4 apartments identified who are ready, willing, and able to test the systems for you. So we have, tons of plans, ins and outs for the move-in process, because we're planning to do 2 moves a day, 6 days a week to get folks in. And so we have identified these 4 apartments. They're full of folks who are just ready. They're like, if it all goes to crap, it's okay, I'll be fine. So they're willing to do that for us to test the system. So if I think everything is going to move through this one door, but then it turns out that door doesn't fit things, we'll know that ahead of time before I have truck after truck after truck showing up. So that's what we're going to be doing. Yeah, thanks.
And that, if it all goes to crap, that's the professional definition.
That's my professional opinion. And that is when both of the elevators go down. So
Yeah. Been there.
that's right.
Anyone else?
Hey, Forrest.
On the direct admits to the health center, to assisted living, how long could they stay in there before they progress to the skilled nursing?
You can, okay, if you are admitted to assisted living as a direct admit, you cannot move to skilled nursing for 30 days. No, 30 days. But there's two things that we do with the direct admit that was never used to be done in the first iteration of that. Direct admits do pay an entry fee, they didn't used to, and direct admits, they can come in, but we also do a financial and actuarial analysis to make sure they have the resources for their stay. So you may not be perfectly on mark, but we know that for the most part, at the rate, and they pay the full rate at whatever level of care they're in, so they do not have a discount. Mhm. I have talked you into oblivion, which was not my intent. Oh, there's one more?
Hi, Linda. So the question is, when do they start being guinea pigs? And I'll tell you, I was on pins and needles, hoping Anita didn't say anything. Because
Did
we
I?
are still, because that water has to get turned on. I just don't feel comfortable promising a time frame until that water gets turned on. Superstitious. So right now, what we've told depositors and what I will tell you, we're still looking at September to October for move-in. So August was taken off the table, but certainly some of our guinea pigs, if that furniture's coming in the beginning of August, you know, maybe towards the end of August into September, we would have those happening. But we should have all those timeframes winnowed down soon, when nothing happens when we turn the water on, other than water coming out where it's supposed to.
Anything else? Well, if you are out tonight or you're walking back home or whatever and you come up with a question, send a note, send an email, and we'll go from there. Jan?
Hi, Jan.
Thinking about the terraces vis-a-vis when we built the health center, because we didn't have that much information coming, like about turning the water on and things like that. Did those things go well when, because it's the same group building both buildings? Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Jan, I just love the way you think. No, I think we had a good mix of good, bad, and indifferent, but we knew the questions to ask this time. Go ahead, Leanne. I'm not going to take away your moment.
Well, and, you know, Jan's my friend, so she prompted me for this. No, what we learned, which was super important, is that things happen. A screw will go through a pipe when they're putting sheetrock together. There'll be some plumbing screw that wasn't tightened, and so water leaks into the entry of the room. So I've told all the leadership team and April repeatedly, test the water. Because we ran around going, oh, there comes water, oh, there's water. And so testing those systems and knowing that, that's just construction. That's not anybody did something wrong, it's just construction. You can't do that much construction and there not be a screw getting the wrong pipe. So we laugh about it because we lived through it. And so that's what we learned, and so we would be remiss if we did not try to learn that again in advance. Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jan.
Anything else? Then I'm going to call it a night, but I do thank you for staying and for being here. And as I said, if you have questions, let us know. Okay? Thank you. You have a resident talking to you.